right, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're going to have a conversation with Hans Rock. I'm sure many of you would have seen him on social media. He's quite active there. So we're going to talk to him. He's actually here in person, face to face, which is quite nice. It's a change. So we're going to talk to him about owning a motorhome in Namibia. We're going to talk to him about Mozambique. I believe he visited Mozambique, which was
right.
Quite exciting. And
Yes.
it's just a conversation. So I hope you guys enjoy it. And you too, Hans. Welcome.
No, thank you very much, and thanks for hosting that. And it's good to be back at Motorhome-World. Nice coffee, and the hospitality is fantastic. And at the same time, you guys are busy making some amends and fixing some things that went a little bit wrong with the motorhome. And I unfortunately hit a bit of a branch or tree in Mozambique, and that corner piece is being replaced at the moment.
Ah, okay. Yeah, well, that's nice, so we can combine it.
Yes.
Maybe we must put the call out there. Everybody that wants their motorhome fixed or something, come in here and we have a podcast.
Yeah.
So that's quite nice. I must say, it's quite a difference to have a person in front of me as well, which is quite nice. It makes a pleasant change.
So is this the first then?
I did one. The first one we did was actually with Robert. Remember the lithium, the whole.
Oh yes.
But it wasn't as professionally set up as this. Well, not that this is professional, but this is a lot better.
No,
than
it's
it did on that one.
it's full of instruments.
Yes.
Shall I say?
Yeah. No. So we got a nice setup now. So I'm sure everybody out there will appreciate the quality has gone up a little bit. So I think it was worth it.
Great.
Right, Hans. How many kilometers have you got on your motorhome now?
Well, now it's coming on to about 43,000.
Ah, nice.
So we have certainly been around, and we do find ourselves probably traveling, I guess, about 50% of the year. So I think we need to elevate that even more.
Well, that's what it's used for. That's what you're supposed to use it for.
Yeah.
I mean, I keep saying to other people as well, we get motorhomes here that are meant to travel. And these motorhomes are 4, 5, 6 years old, and they come here under 10,000 kilometers. And it's like, this is not what it's supposed to do. So you're doing it the right way.
I thank you very much. I think so too.
Yeah. All right. I just want to start with the whole Namibian thing. We have a lot of customers in Namibia, but there might be a lot more people out there that want to get into the motorhoming lifestyle. Not purely just overlanding, but maybe just motorhoming, on-road motorhoming. So is it difficult to own a motorhome in Namibia? From a perspective of, is it clear on licensing? Is it clear on driver's license? Is it a difficulty, or is it as easy as here in South Africa?
Dennis, I actually had a look at this prior to getting a motorhome and starting off with the cab chassis, and then deciding where to have it built. And obviously Motorhome-World came out as a priority. So, I would have liked to have it slotted in a bit earlier. I think it was over half a year that we had to wait until we drove the cab chassis down to Cape Town and have it done. But to own a motorhome per se in Namibia, I don't think there's any big difference between that and South Africa. The cross-border is like driving a motor vehicle across the border. So it was quite simple for us. And then we left it over here and we flew back to Nam, and I think it was built and completed. I'm speaking a little bit under correction, but in less than 3 months. I think it was around about 2.5 months. And then we flew. I flew back just to have a look at the progress at the halfway sort of mark, and then we flew back to take a delivery. So things were very simple, and I think we spent about 6 weeks traveling back to Nam just to make sure that everything is in order and everything worked accordingly, which was obviously the case. And we went back across the border, and it was straightforward.
Okay, so there was no issues there.
No issues whatsoever.
Do you have in Namibia the same issues that we have here in South Africa with the traffic police thinking that a motorhome, well, yours is different, I guess, because yours is what we call a code 10 or a code C anyway, because you've got the Overlander with the GVM of 5.5 ton. You still have a 5.5 ton vehicle. You
Correct.
don't have the 7 ton, the new one.
No, it's 5.5 ton.
Yeah, so yours anyway is going to be a code C1 or a 10 as the old language. But do you know if you have a code B motorhome, so a normal licensed motorhome, if the traffic police and maybe also has issues with that?
You know, Dennis, there have been reports of people being pulled over and the traffic officers not being too sure about the weight and so forth. And I am aware of a couple of arguments that have transpired with regard to the license and then having a B license instead of a heavy-duty license, code 10. But I think there's perhaps been one or two incidences, but nothing serious. So owning the Discovery, which is a max of 5.5 tons, you do need a heavy-duty license for that, though. So that hasn't been a problem at all. I think if you got that license, it's home sailing. There isn't a problem, with the traffic department at all.
Yeah. Now, here in South Africa, we have the issues where the traffic police seems to think that a registered motorhomes is you need also a heavy license for that, or C1, EC1 license for it, and not a code B. Whereas when I did a whole podcast on this as well.
Okay.
When your tear is below 3.5, then you can actually drive it with a normal license. Your vehicle is not like that because you're way above 3.5 as a tear vehicle anyway.
Yes, that is correct.
But our Discoverer 4s and 6s, the normal road goings, they're all below 3.5, so they can all be driven by the code B. But the traffic police out there seems to think otherwise. Anyway, different story. But yes, you've answered the question. So, right. So, owning in Namibia, servicing in Namibia, the vehicle, is that an issue? You have an Iveco?
Yes, that's not a problem. We do have Iveco branches, one in Windhoek and one in Walvis Bay. Myself being based in Windhoek, so we just made use of the one in Windhoek. Services are as per normal, and I haven't had any issues whatsoever. Parts, everything like that is available, and as far as I'm concerned, the services have been thorough as well. So as far as that goes, no problem whatsoever.
Okay, happy with servicing and spares and all of that.
Absolutely, it's all available, and we haven't picked up any issues there at all.
Is there a second-hand market in Namibia for motorhomes?
Second-hand, yes, there is, most certainly. In fact, a friend of mine, he was looking for one after he saw mine. He's based in Windhoek as well. And I resorted to social media, and I found one there. I think it was from Johannesburg. And he's got quite a big company, so he's got branches in Joburg as well. And I think he sent one of his managers out to have a look at it, and he reported back that it seems sound and good, and he bought it. So the second-hand market is open, and I think people certainly make use of that as well.
Okay, so importing a second-hand unit into Namibia is not a problem.
No.
Obviously, in South Africa, it's different. You're not allowed to import second-hand vehicles whatsoever.
Oh.
No, it's a big no-no.
Okay.
Only new units.
Okay.
So we can't, for example, as South Africa, we can't buy a second-hand vehicle in Namibia.
Okay.
And then register in South Africa.
I do know because I bought a motor vehicle from a friend of mine last year here, and I had it couriered into Namibia. So like with anything else that is couriered in, you have to obviously have all the papers done and signed out. And of course, then comes VAT. So you have to pay the VAT. So if you do import a motorhome from South Africa, for argument's sake, into Namibia, you have to have all the papers correctly filled out and expect to pay VAT. If it's down to a company name, then obviously you can claim that VAT back again.
Yeah, normal. Did you do it yourself, or is it better to use an agent for import-export, that type of vehicle imports and export?
The same friend of mine, he's got a courier company, a big courier company in Windhoek, and I made use of their services.
Information.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
It made life easier.
Yes, he knows the rules and regulations.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So, But I would think somebody that doesn't have your contacts, to use an agent will probably be better on the soul than to try and do it yourself.
You can certainly do it. But if something is incorrectly filled out, then you've got problems at the border post. Then you've got to sort that out.
At the border post.
At the border post. So that's a lot of red tape that you want to try and avoid.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
I would probably advise to use an import-export agent.
It would be better. Yeah.
Right. Dan, the traveling itself in Namibia must be stunning. Namibia as a country for motorhoming. I mean, just pictures you guys are sending as well. It's
Dennis,
beautiful to travel there with a motorhome.
That's one of the reasons why we decided to buy a 4x4 motorhome as well, because Namibia lends itself to that type of rough traveling, if you want to call it like that. Yes, certainly you've got very good roads in Namibia. But at the same time, you've got fantastic off-road places, wild camping to do. And as I said, it lends itself so much more. And I think it's just a big advantage having a 4x4 to exploit that country.
Yeah, but 4x2 is possible?
Yes, absolutely. On social media, I've had a lot of people asking me, about the camp places and sites that we've been to, whether they are accessible with the 4x2. In a lot of instances, they most certainly are. I think when it comes to a little bit of soft sand, that's when the 2x4 is going to suffer, and you're not going to quite make it. But Namibia is such a huge country. There's so many places to go to, and I think the most favorite places that tourists like to go to is, for argument's sake, Etosha National Park, Sossusvlei down at the dunes, and then people love to go to Swakopmund at the seaside. And all of these places are accessible with a 2x4. I think it's only if you go sort of northwest into what they call Damaraland area, it becomes rocky, and there are a lot of places and riverbeds to exploit, and there you do need a 4x4.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. I do recall that we have some customers in Namibia with a 4x2, but there aren't many. By far more 4x4s.
Yes.
And it does make sense. I mean, for
absolutely.
Namibia, yeah, absolutely. Good. And wild camping, of course. It's great there.
Absolutely.
Something you won't really do in South Africa. You have an opportunity to do that in Namibia, and it must be awesome.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, Namibia, as I said, it lends itself to that type of off-road wild camping scenario. It's safe as well, whereas I think you've got to be a little bit on the cautious side here in South Africa as to where you camp. And I'm sure there are many wildlife places that one can access, but you have to ask yourself, are they as safe? And Namibia is very safe. I dare not say that you don't have petty crime from time to time. That certainly is part of it. But we wild camp as much as possible, and we haven't had any issues or anything like that. So, and the 4x4 means that you can get into remote places, probably where locals and villages aren't in close proximity. And we just enjoy it.
Yeah, there must be a real draw card. I can think that a lot of people out there, the overlanding community, that Namibia wild camping is. I'm guessing more the north side, north of Windhoek, must be just such a big draw card.
Up northwest, it's remote, it's wild, it's safe to camp there. And then if you take the whole of the Caprivi Strip, it's a popular place towards Zimbabwe, Botswana, a lot of places along that Zambezi River where one can do wild camping.
Perfect opening for Mozambique.
Yes.
Last time we
yes.
spoke, you were on the way. You were in KwaZulu-Natal, and you were on your way to Mozambique with Bernd, a friend of
Yes.
yours.
Yes.
Also an overland owner, a Discoverer Extreme owner.
Yes, that's right. I think his was built in 2016, towards the end of 16. Bent is a cousin to my wife, Andrea. And in actual fact, he was an inspiration when we embarked on deciding to get a motorhome built. We looked at his, and I said to you guys, you know what, just give me a mirror image of what he's got. So it's sister and sister. And we embarked on this trip for about 2 odd months through South Africa, south of Durban, where we joined up, and then traveled through Cozy Bay, and then into Mozambique, and we spent a whole month in Mozambique, essentially along the coastline. It's a trip that you could do in a 2x4, although there were a couple of places whereby you actually needed a 4x4 as well. But most of the trip was accessible with a 2x4. Fantastic. Mozambique,
Yeah.
I think, if it weren't for the coastline, for me it would have perhaps been a little bit on the boring side. Everything just met our expectations as well. The fish, seafood that is available was just phenomenal. So it was a fantastic trip.
Fantastic. Border, where did you cross into Namibia?
Dennis, now you
not
asking
Namibia,
me.
sorry, Mozambique.
Into Mozambique,
Yeah, into Mozambique.
where was it? It was at Cozy Bay.
Okay, yeah.
In the south, yeah. And then we traveled up north, quite a few 100 kilometers up north to as far as a place called Inhamban. The only downside, I would say, with Mozambique, and a lot of people have expressed their opinion about this, is that there's a lot of corruption, unfortunately. We did get stopped once for so-called speeding. I was doing 64 in a 60k zone. And I think there were about 8 police officials that invited me to have a look at the radar, and I confirmed that we were 4 kilometers above the speed limit. And then I was told, look, it's 1,000 meticals per 1 kilometer, which is also wrong and false. So in other words, we had to pay 4,000, but if we paid 2,000 cash, we can be on our way and go. So I climbed onto an app called Drive Moz, and on that there's a walkie-talkie type of system called Zello. And I called up, there's people always available to help you, and I called up and I spoke to, luckily, a Mozambican ministry official who answered my distress call. And he told me to take my phone on loudspeaker to the police, which I did. And he spoke to them in Portuguese. And I had this interpreted later. But I was told after they heard what he had to say, there wasn't any discussion about this. They just gave me my driver's license back again and said, go. And then I had that interpreted. And basically what he says is that stop your corruption and leave the tourists alone and let them be on their way. So I was grateful for that.
That is amazing. I didn't know that existed. I didn't know you could do that. Drive Moz app, you say?
Yes, free to download.
Yeah.
And I think at any given time, there's well over 100 people listening in, maybe inquisitive people. Some are residents in South Africa still. They're not even in Mozambique. But they're well informed and they're there to assist you.
That's amazing. And who arranges this app? Do you know who's the?
I'm not too sure who drives it.
Is it government or is it private?
No, it's private, I think.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. We should do that in South Africa.
It wouldn't be a bad thing at all.
I like
and then
that.
you also you can get what they call the Drive Moz sticker. So it's a sticker basically showing the app. And you put that on your driver's side door, close to where the window is, so that if there is an official that comes up to you, he sees that sticker, and it puts them off a bit. because they know that you are on the Drive Moz app, and you have access to good advice.
Interesting. I like it. I really like it. It's a good step forward if they can keep it up like that. And for you can prove you're the proof that say that it worked.
Absolutely.
So, but you need to have internet connection.
Yes.
Or is it mobile service? 3G, 4G.
It's mobile service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had a Mozambican SIM card, or did you?
I had a Mozambican SIM card, which you bought at the border. And once again, you've got to be cautious about that, because once you cross the border, people run up to you and will want to sell you SIM cards and data and stuff like that. And then if you drive 50 k's further on to a destination, you find that the price is 1/3 of what you are charged at the border.
And I'm sure Drive Moz app will also tell you that.
Yes. On that app, you will find that somewhere.
Yeah. Well, great all around.
Absolutely.
No, I'm very happy to see that. I'm going to delve a little bit more, but personally into that as well, and have a look how it works. It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, but corruption aside, stunning. You went to in Albania. I don't know. I don't know. How to pronounce it.
Yeah, and
then
a whole lot of places
all the way up, always along the coast. Diesel, it's good diesel availability.
Yes.
No issues.
No issues. It's quite a bit more expensive, if I recall. I think it was close to about 27 rands per litre. I see your diesel down here is floating at around about 22, 21 something.
Yeah.
So it is quite expensive.
Okay. And water?
Water you have to be careful of. It's not always good water. So with us, we've got a good filter system. So if we're not too sure, I try and keep our 220 litre water tanks with good drinkable water. Not that we do use it for drinking. We just use our water for obviously the pollution and everything like that, and for washing up. But it's good to know that your tanks are clean.
Yes.
And obviously, we use that water a lot of the time to boil and make coffee and tea with.
Okay. And drink water out of a drinking water maybe you buy?
Yeah, I rather like to buy 5 or 6 litre water bottles, and then we know that it's good. It's and that's fine to drink.
People also always ask me, is there water and diesel available when you are here in East Africa, West Africa, wherever? And I'll go, are there people there? And they go, yes. Well, if there's people there, that A, there's diesel, and B, there's water.
Yes.
There will always be diesel and water where there are people. Whether the diesel is good quality or not, that's the second question.
That could be.
Yeah, but and the same for the water. But there will always be diesel and water most of the time wherever you go. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Campsites. Talk to us about, did you wild camp? Did you use campsites in Mozambique?
No, we actually didn't wild camp at all. It was all at official sort of campsites. Yeah, they fluctuated, from really good to not so good. But generally speaking, we found ourselves on that coastline. So there was a little bit of sand at some that you had to negotiate, but that's where the 4x4 comes in. And but generally speaking, the campsites were all very good.
Yeah, good. Well, you don't really need much. You've got everything on board.
Absolutely.
So that's the beauty of the overlanding.
It's a house on wheels.
Yeah.
And
then insurance while you're in Mozambique. Was that an issue? Was it a non-issue? As a Namibian registered vehicle, of course.
I do recall that you have to take out a compulsory road insurance. I can't remember how much that cost, but that is a compulsory thing to do. Nothing changed. We had our vehicle already insured in Namibia. So there wasn't any issues with that at all. No.
Okay. So that was also easy. It's just on the border, like you do. Same with Namibia.
Correct.
If we go to Namibia, South Africans, we also have to buy the road fund tax.
Yes,
something. I forget what it's called.
That's correct.
Same thing.
Okay. Same thing. Yeah.
All right. And Bernd, happy also?
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
enjoyed it.
I think he would have liked to have taken part in this podcast
Yeah.
as well.
We will do one with him one day.
Yeah, no. And we do plan to go back next year as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Well, that shows you then it was good. Same route or more north?
I think this time maybe the same route from south to north, or possibly from north to south, just to change a little bit, and maybe go a little bit further up north as well, just to explore.
Okay. Where did you exit Mozambique?
We exited at I think it's called the Goriando border post that goes into Kruger National Park. So you, from the coast, obviously drive inland, and then enter over there.
That's quite a drive, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we did that we split it into 2 days.
Yeah, okay.
And then we were in Kruger National Park. There's one little hitch over there that you have to prove that you're staying in the Kruger Park for at least one night before you exit. I think that's just to prevent people coming in and using that as a thoroughfare, the Kruger National Park. So it would probably clutter up with more traffic. So it's a bit of a deterrent, if you want to put it like that, that you actually have to spend one night, book one night to stay in Kruger National Park.
And other options further north for exiting?
Yeah, I didn't look at that because it wasn't quite applicable. So we just said, look, this is the route that we're going to take. We planned this in Namibia before we left. So we didn't look at other routes. Okay. But I'm sure next year when we do come down, we'll do things a little bit on the different side.
Okay. What would you do different after this experience?
What, in terms of...
Mozambique. Just traveling Mozambique.
Well, I would still stick to the coastline because it's so interesting. And we really enjoyed the amount of fish and seafood that is available. It's just phenomenal. And different fish. One of the most popular fishes available and easily and readily caught is called a kuta. It's a big, long fish, similar to snook.
Okay. Yeah.
But a much bigger
Bit
fish.
of a barracuda, buck barracuda.
Yes, yeah. And it's a beautiful fish to fry or pan fry in butter. We ate it every single day.
Okay. And everybody catches it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Fresh from the ocean.
Fresh out of the ocean.
No, that sounds awesome. Yeah. Absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
Right. I think we covered most of Mozambique. I think, unless there's anything else that you say is first very interesting.
No, I think we've pretty much covered it. It's a beautiful country. It's a poor country though, Dennis. It's really poor. Yeah, the people, a lot of stalls all over the show, which is quite nice. We found these sort of like side road stalls very interesting. Fluctuates a lot from curios to food things, honey, for argument's sake, coconuts. So one is actually sport, and oranges and fruit and pineapples. It's stunning.
Okay. I just see there's a thing I would like to ask. Your motorhome is registered in Namibia. You have a Namibian registered motorhome.
Correct. Yeah.
Is there any maximum time that you allow to travel in South Africa? So you've come across the border now. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the South African authorities wanted from you to because you have a temporary import somehow with the vehicle, or
no. Luckily, if you come from Namibia into South Africa, you don't need any papers at all. You just drive in. The only restriction is what's on your passport or what passport you do carry. So in our case, we're also fortunate. I have both dual citizenship, and so does my wife. So we can travel into South Africa and extend the stay for the minimum, which is stipulated, of 90 days. So that's a great help. If you don't have that privilege, well, then you are confined to coming into South Africa for only a maximum of 90 days per annum.
Oh, is it per annum? Wow.
Yes, yes.
I didn't realize that. I thought it's per entry.
No, it's only valid over a 1 year period of time.
That's very restrictive.
It is.
A little bit,
but then
yeah.
if you say to yourself, well, 3 months, I can do a lot of traveling in South Africa over a 3 month period. But it's nice to be known or be able to extend that beyond the 90-day period.
Yeah, it would be nice. Then for the vehicle itself, do you know if there's any restrictions? When would South Africa have to say, you know what, you're here so long now, you have to start registering in South Africa?
Dennis, I haven't come across that at all. As far as I know, I don't know unless you tell me on a different scale.
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking now. If we drive a South African vehicle into Namibia, there is a limitation.
Yes, I do believe there is one.
And I think it's, as far as and somebody can correct me, it's 180 days.
Okay.
And then you have to come either back to South Africa or pay road tax.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if it's the other way. There must be something. I mean, otherwise I could, for instance, buy a vehicle in Namibia, in Windhoek, and then keep it forever in South Africa. That doesn't sound right either. With a Namibian number plate.
I've never thought of it. I've never looked at it from that angle at all. So
maybe we'll delve into that.
Yeah.
We'll have a look, and there must be some type of, maybe not very much enforced, but there must be some type of restriction when you bring your overlander into South Africa. You as a person, you would have either 90 days or, like you, dual citizenship. You can be here indefinitely.
Correct.
But I would assume you can't leave your vehicle here indefinitely. So that's probably the answer.
Something
I'm
that
looking for.
I can't give you an answer
Yeah,
there.
that's fine. Let me see if we can put some and see that, and then I can use it into a next podcast. And then for South Africa, you've traveled extensively as well. I know this is not Namibia and Mozambique, but just your idea of 4x4 versus 4x2 for South Africa. What is your feeling on that?
Yes, Dennis. Often think that driving a 4x4 in South Africa is a bit of an overkill because you can access so many places here with a 2x4. There's no doubt about that, and the road system here is good. I think perhaps if you go into the city centres, maybe you're going to encounter a lot of potholes and things like that. But you can still drive around with a 2x4. I cannot think offhand of any place in South Africa where we have been that you can only access it by 4x4. So as far as that aspect goes, it's a nice to have 4x4. And we really use it, for argument's sake, in Botswana, in Namibia. But here in South Africa, I think you can home sail on a 2x4 for most of the places.
Yeah, that's what we thought as well. Yeah. Yeah. The 4x4 is very popular, and I'm sure there's many areas and campsites and visiting areas where people want to go. We actually do need a 4x4. So I'm sure there are. So,
Sure.
Yeah. Where next? What's the next plan? I know you're here now. You got your vehicle here in Cape Town.
Yeah, we came down
what's the plan?
to watch the rugby. We decided to coincide a trip with the Discovery. The Springboks versus the All Blacks. That's on Saturday, the 7th of September.
So I just want to rephrase that. You didn't come to watch the rugby. You came to watch the Springboks win over the Kiwis. That's what you came and do.
I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
I see there are a couple of changes, and they're short of locks at the moment, but I'm sure we can pull this one off, Dennis. And so after the 7th, which is just around the corner, I think we're going to go up to one of our favorite spots up the Wilderness Coast and make a trip of that. And then eventually make our way down again and come through Cape Town and then head up the West Coast. We've done the West Coast traveling down from the Orange River down the whole of the west coast on the coastline itself. So this time we're going to do it going up north, back to Nam again. And looking forward to that because hopefully I think the weather will get a little bit on the better side.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
It's been quite a horrendous winter here in Cape Town.
No, it's been terrible in one way. And then up that west coast, we really enjoyed it. And I think we're going to be back in Namibia towards the end of October. So hopefully the weather will be kind to us up that west coast as well.
Yeah, it's a nice route. I enjoy it. And you're going to cross at Oranjemund?
Sorry?
Yeah, you're going to cross into Namibia to Oranjemund?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's nice. Port Nolloth, all of those areas.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very
absolutely.
nice.
Yeah.
The flower season as well, I guess. So you're going to
we were lucky enough to, when we came down now, in that Namakwa land area, although we didn't go too far west, but certainly from Springbok down south, lots of flowers. And I must say, all the camping sites were booked out as well.
Yeah. Well, you should get more on the way up again, north.
Yeah.
It might be a bit late in October.
It's going to be a little bit late.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You get the start of summer. End of the rain, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
Great. So, well, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here in person. It's a pleasure to host you here, which is very nice.
Thank you very much, Dennis. It's nice being here, and thanks for the podcast as well.
Yeah, I hope everybody listens. I hope a lot of people listen. I'm trying to bring the lifestyle out there. So, and I think you're doing a great job online, on social media. Your pictures are stunning and beautiful.
No, thank you.
And I know a lot of people follow you, which is great. Because it's all about the lifestyles, all about bringing the happiness of motorhoming and camping out there. And I think with people like you and what you do for it, it inspires.
No, thanks. It's from a photographic point of view, and a journey. It's nice to share the journeys with a lot of other people, and other people appreciate that as well. They learn from that. It's like buying a magazine and seeing in that magazine a feature about a certain camping spot. I think a lot of people take advantage of that. And in my case, a lot of people do contact me and refer to the previous camp spots where we have been. And inevitably, those people go there as well. So it's nice to share that.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, it's good. And be honest about it. I've read some of your posts, and when the campsites are not nice, you also say that, which is good. But hopefully that the owners read it and then they do something about it to fix it.
Absolutely, yeah. And I don't do that on purpose to try and knock down a place. I think there's always good and bad. Hopefully, most of the time, all good about a certain camping place. But if there is something that's perhaps a little bit out that needs some fixing, and I think it's a good platform to get that across.
Yeah, perfect. All right, I think we can leave it at that. Hans, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks very much, and I hope everybody enjoys this podcast.
Yeah, thanks everybody for listening, and tune in for the next one.